Welcome to this edition of Open House, and thanks to everyone from Indaly for getting us here today. Greg Moulton, of course, is not here. Normally, it's New Zealand when I'm filling in for him here, but today he's over in New York. He has completed the New York Marathon, and he's done it in a fantastic time, 4 hours, 30 minutes and 31 seconds. Great effort, Maltz, and he's also raised a lot of money for the Little Heroes Foundation, around about $15,000 he raised. So that's around about $3,333 per hour that he was out on the course, or around about $355 a K. Whichever way you look at it, a fantastic effort from Greg Moulton. Next week, Michael Brock will be in the chair, but for today, it is me, and we are focusing on the southern vales of Adelaide, areas like Port Wollonga and Aldinga. And from the Wine Estate Agency of Brock Harcourts, Jim Connery joins us on the phone. Jim, how are you going?
Yeah, good yourself, Paul.
Yeah, I'm doing very well, mate. Let's talk about a beautiful part of the world down around Aldinga and Port Wollonga way. Some of the beaches down that way, mate, are just spectacular.
Oh, yeah, look, I've been down here 10 years and absolutely love it. You can drive on some of the beaches.
Yeah.
Port Wollonga's a little bit different. It's a walk-on beach, and I guess that just gives it that point of difference between the surrounding beaches.
Yeah, it is beautiful down there, and of course to be working down there is something that most people would only dream of, but you're doing it, and you're doing it in real estate. How long have you been involved in the real estate market down around that area?
5 years.
Okay. And you've also lived down around that area for the same amount of time, or you growing up in the southern area of Adelaide?
No, I'm actually from the north, but we've been down here for 10 years, and
okay.
We're living in McLaren Vale. We originally moved down to be close to the water,
yep.
And but we found that McLaren Vale was still close to the water, but had a really nice community feel to it.
Yeah.
And that's part of the Wine Coast area that we look after.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. So if you've lived in the northern area, then moved down south, you would have done a fair bit of research, and you've mentioned the beach being close by and that rural feel. Obviously, two of the biggest draw cards, but the community feel down there as well would be another one.
Oh, yes. Yeah, look, they're all little hamlets. The old township of Aldinga is a nice little village, and same with Wollonga and
yep.
McLaren Vale. Clarendon, they're all lovely little towns, and, interspersed with vineyards and wineries and restaurants and some great pubs as well.
Yep.
So great lifestyle down here.
And the area's really open up to a number of different people who want to move down there. There's some real top-end properties down there overlooking some spectacular beaches. And then you've got some of the smaller, quaint little cottages as well. Great for people who have a massive bank balances, or maybe even first homeowners, or small families moving down there as well.
For sure, Port Wollonga, if you drive along the Esplanade, you can see it'll be a mixture of some very large two-storey homes with enormous balconies, and then right next door will be a little shack, painted blue, and probably the holiday home of a family that's had it for the last 30 or 40 years, and just hanging on to it for dear life, hoping that it can stay in the family. But it's quite a mixture of all different building types, and there's some really magnificent properties inside the old survey of Port Wollonga, which is the area that 10 Anchor Terraces on the property that we're just about to talk about.
Yeah, we'll have a look at that one shortly. But you mentioned there that there's a couple of properties that have been involved with families for a while. I'm imagining there, on the flip side of that, there are investors that are knocking on your door saying, mate, do you have any smaller properties down there we might be able to get our hands on that have got some great parcels of land?
Yes, look, there's some great opportunities happening. The old survey area of Port Wollonga is, there's still vacant blocks there, and quite often, people will pick up an old shack that's, on 1,800 square metres of land, which is absolutely amazing, so close to the water. So if you compare it to suburban beaches, it's very good value.
Yeah, too right. And it's, 45 k's from Adelaide. So, for a holiday destination, that is unbelievable. Even for a commuter these days, with the expressway about to be upgraded so it runs both ways at the same time, that's going to cut travel time down a fair bit for a lot of people. So that will entice some people who are even working in Adelaide.
Yeah, look, I living in McLaren Vale, which is a similar distance, I commuted for a number of years into Adelaide, and it was an average of 50 to 55 minutes into town with the expressway, and same on the way home. So, if you compare that to a lot of other capital cities, Port Wollonga and McLaren Vale, Wollonga, they're close enough to live there and work in town.
Yeah, and if you do compare that to some of the other capital cities, as you mentioned, the 55-minute drive isn't going to land you on the beaches that you're going to land at Port Wollonga or Aldinga.
That's right.
Yeah. Now, some of the attractions down that way, mate, we've mentioned the beaches and the wineries, but some of the food down there as well. The Star of Greece restaurant, I'm sure that's a favourite of yours.
Yeah, look, the Star of Greece is pretty well known. They say Kylie Minogue often shows up there, and some pretty famous faces. Ben Folds apparently has a property somewhere in Port Wollonga, although I have a feeling he's sold that. But, there's places like Red Poles and the Salopian Inn. There's some great restaurants all the way through the Wine Coast area.
Yeah, exactly right. And there's also other great little places like the Wollonga Farmers Market. That gets some good people getting down there on the weekends and just having a nice casual stroll around. And it kind of has that whole community feel that we spoke about earlier on.
Oh, yeah. Look, I try to get down there on a Saturday morning as often as I can. And it's a really good feel, and they every second week they have the quarry market across the road as well. So it's not just produce. They've also got all, artists and people with different sorts of stalls setting up there.
What else is happening down around the area for the remainder of 2010 and the early part of 2011?
Well, something that we're involved in January is the Tour Down Under.
Oh, okay.
We're setting up on our roundabout just at the end of the old township of Aldinga.
Yep.
And we're going to have a big sausage sizzle and lots of entertainment. A couple of restaurants are going to be setting up marquees in that area, and it's going to be great. We're going to line the streets with ribbons and balloons and really make a big show of the Tour Down Under this year. I
imagine that'll be a popular stage for people to make their way to embrace that feel and get some of that good food at the start line.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, look, the start line this year is McLaren Vale, and it's finishing at Wollonga, but the section through Aldinga and along the coast is always very popular and gets a lot of coverage in the media as well with the riders riding along the coast. It's great. You can get a shot of the ocean with all the bikes going past. It's great.
Jim, just before we get on to the property of the week, tell us a little bit about your office, how many people you've got involved there and how they've been involved with the area, etc.
Okay, well, we've got 5 salespeople altogether, including myself, and sales support and an admin person. We've got quite an experienced operator in Julie Stanley, who was with the Brock office in Adelaide for 6 years. She's brought a wealth of knowledge and experience in the Brock Harcourts system to our office, and she's concentrating in the Sunday Estate area. We've got Peter Brown, who is an experienced salesperson who is looking after the Sellex Beach and Aldinga Scrub area. And we've also got 2 people that are fairly new to the industry, Natalie Schwalk and Dawn Bird, and they're both looking after Port Wollonga, Maslins and part of Aldinga Beach. So we've got that area across the coastal strip fairly well covered, and the whole group look after areas like McLaren Vale, Wollonga, Kangarilla. We set the office up in July, and we've just grown. We've just taken the shop next door, so we're in the process of expanding into that. And it's been a start, and we're getting there. We're getting our name out there, and getting a really good response from the community.
Well, it sounds like you're doing something right if you're expanding the office. Let's have a look at the property of the week now. 10 Anchor Terrace there at Wollonga. Some great open spaces both in and out of the house. We'll have a bit of a tour just after this commercial break, but in a couple of words, describe the property so people hang around to have a look at it.
Oh, I don't know if I can do it in a couple of words. It's a great property. Designed by architect Carlo Dettori.
Yep.
He's an award-winning Adelaide architect. And two-storey, 3 bedrooms all upstairs, and downstairs a huge living area.
It is.
Vine-covered pergola outdoor entertaining area, and lovely big back garden and front garden, absolutely manicured garden. So, and lots of colour at this time of year. It's a really colourful garden from the front and the back. 2 balconies, from a balcony leading from the master bedroom at the front, which is accessible, via an entrance hall, and that's got ocean views.
Yeah, that's great.
And big enough to have a party out there. It's quite a big balcony. And they've also got a balcony that faces the rear of the property, which also gives them views of the hills, heading down towards Salix Beach.
It's beautiful.
So, 2 great areas that, a great entertainer, this property, and in the old survey, which is great.
Well, after the break, we'll have a look at that one. You'll, in fact, take us on a walk-through tour of the property. But before we go, I've got to ask you about the flag out the front of the property. Is that a pink elephant with a wine glass in trunk?
It certainly is. It certainly is. It's a great neighbourhood around there. A very tight-knit community, and the owners of the property, when they raise that flag, it's champagne time, and a lot of the neighbours will come in and just join them on the balcony for a quiet drink and watch the sun go down.
Well, I'm sure you'll be popping champagne corks for the sale of the house, both for the buyer and the seller, because you're going to have 2 happy parties there. Thanks a lot for joining us, Jim.
Not a problem. Thanks, Paul.
No worries.
Cheers.
Stick around, because after the break, as I did mention, Jim will take you on a tour of that property and what a property it is as well. Thanks for joining us on Open House. Still plenty more to come.